This is the video review of the SWAT Megazord from Power Rangers SPD, also known as the DekaWing Robo from Tokusou Sentai Dekaranger. And I really like this set, but it's not as good as I hoped it would be. I'm on record saying that this guy right here, the Delta Squad Megazord, is one of my favorite Megazords of all time. Unfortunately, these guys here were not able to replicate the success as much, although they're still a very nice set. Focus. Anyway, to start off with, we have the Pink Ranger right here, and it's a very nice looking shuttle, but it's very simplistic, and the reason why is because the Pink Ranger here, if you fold up the landing gear and fold down the booster here, ends up being a shoe, which is kind of an interesting bit of combination trickery. I don't think I've seen this before. If I have, it's no, I've seen them turn into boots before, but I've never seen them turn into a shoe before. I'm not talking about a boot, I'm actually talking about the Zeo Megazord. Anyway, to continue this, fold up the landing gear here, the yellow Ranger's Zord is almost exactly the same, it's just a bit more boxy. Anyway, here you've got the shoes, and here is my big problem with this set. The Green Ranger Zord is pants. He's just pants, that's all he is. You can imagine that he's like a flying wing with a giant nacelle guns on the bottom, but he's just pants. And this is really why I don't like this set as much as I like this guy. Like on this guy, all the individual Zords, you can tell what they're probably going to do, because he's a simple Megazord, but they all look like their own individual vehicles. This does not look like a vehicle, this looks like pants. Anyway, you will fold these up, and split them apart, put them off to the side. Next we have this guy, and this is my favorite of the set. I love the way this guy looks. Now, I don't actually like the way he looks when he has his giant guns. There's nothing else you can do with the guns when it's in vehicle mode, but I love the way this guy looks. He has a very nice, almost Clone Wars-esque look to him. He's got nice wings up here, he's got nice angles, and he's just a very interesting looking design. Now to transform this guy, you will fold up the landing gear. These just fold down, these fold up, pop these apart, fold the wings out, put them on the other side, and there you've got the arms. Put them off to the side, and now we go to the last one, and this one is the torso bit. I'll fold up the landing gear, and unfortunately mine has some quality control issues that really damage the figure. Now I got all of these mint and sealed box, but the boxes were crushed, so I don't know if the box being crushed actually damaged the figure. I can't imagine that it would, but I do have some quality control issues, and I'll get into those. The first one is that the electronics don't work, and that's a shame because the electronics are one of the things I actually really liked about this guy, how well they were implemented. So I don't know how well the electronics are implemented on this guy. I've tried multiple batteries on this guy and in this guy. It's not the battery's fault, it's that this guy's electronics don't work, they're broken. The other problem is that he actually has three problems, but one will be obvious until we get to robot mode. The other problem is that this ratchet right here is fine. It's got a nice click to it, it's got obvious detents to it, and it's pretty solid. This one right here doesn't work quite as well. It's very tight, and the reason why is because the ratchet mechanism in this leg right here broke, so I had to open it up and fix the ratchet mechanism. I wasn't able to fix it to be like this. This is where it's a very mechanical ratchet joint where the stuff moves out of the way. This is a soft ratchet joint where the parts just grind against each other. So eventually it'll get very loose, and if I hadn't done that, it would already be very loose. So right now it's too tight, and soon it'll be too loose. That's kind of a big problem for me, especially because of the way the legs kind of work here. I'll get into that a little bit, but that's just really unfortunate there. And then we'll pop this out, push up on the nose, which will expose the head. And here's actually something nice that this guy does. He actually has turnable head. And then here's a detail that's easy to miss, but you flip up this little crest right here. And here you have the torso. And now we can start combining this guy. The first thing we'll want to do is we'll want to take these guys right here. This is the right foot, this is the right leg. And I said this guy is pants. He's actually more like shins, but he's pants. You'll put this in at an angle, and then you'll rotate it, and you've got little tabs right here that'll end up being under bits right here. and that's how it locks into place. But then there's something else, which is there is a little spring-loaded button right here. That will end up sliding into that little notch right here, and that's how you know exactly where how this foot's supposed to be angled on the leg. And weirdly, it ends up being that the feet are at an angle, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in a little while, why that's an interesting design choice, why I think they did it, but why it ultimately ends up failing. Put it off to the side, put this in like this, and it's the same deal. Put it off to the side, and actually, don't put them off to the side, attach them. And one thing you need to notice right here is, this is a difference between this torso versus the Pat Striker torso. If you take a leg off of the Pat Striker, you'll see that this right here is really long, whereas this right here, this light bar, is really short. And this being really long is part of the way that the leg stays stable on here. Well, here, this is really short, so it doesn't actually get to extend all the way down into this leg. And because it can't extend all the way down into the leg, it ends up being that the way that it grips on can twist off very easy. So what they did is that there is a little tab in there on the back. The Pat Striker does not have that. On this one, there's a button. So if you want to take the legs off, you need to be sure to press that button. When you press the button, then you can take it off. Otherwise, you're going to break something if you try and take it off. So that's how the legs attach. That's the caveat for taking off the legs, so you need to keep in mind. Raising them up. Then you take these, and they tab onto the side. And this is the Delta Squad Megazord in robot mode. And I basically like the way he looks. I wish he didn't have as much black on him. I wish he were a bit of a brighter color, but all of the colors that he does have, they're very bright and vibrant. So he is a very striking looking figure, and I do like that. He has these guns right here, and they're very nice big guns. They fit into his hands like this. And overall, he is a very impressive looking Megazord, and I like him a lot. And he is a nice pair to the Delta Squad Megazord. And part of what I like about this is that all of the Megazords for this guy together are smaller than Megazords for this guy. So this guy, while he's a little bit taller than this guy, is also quite a bit thinner. And I sort of like that, because even though this has advantages over this Megazord in very many ways, it still establishes that it's not a replacement for this one, which is actually quite true, because this is a very interesting Megazord. I like it quite a bit, but it doesn't replace this one. Anyway, taking this back off to the side, I want to talk about the quality control issue that this got. The last one is, if you raise up the arms, you'll see that the detents on the ratchet mechanism for the arms are not the same. And the reason why is because this one right here is not actually pegged in at the right angle. It's tilted back a little bit. So I am very displeased with this central unit of my SWAT Megazord. I'll have to find a new one eventually. Now, I want to talk about the legs down here, how the feet are at a bit of an angle. There are several reasons why they did that. One is putting them at an angle means that they get to use this part as a heel rather than this part, which gives them a longer heel, which means that he's not as back heavy. He actually has better balance. That's a good thing. That's well thought out. That works well. The other reason is the legs here will bend up like this, and that will ruin his balance. Having them split off to the side like this means that if you press him forward, that the angle of pressing forward is not the same angle as the hinge right here, so he's not going to end up being able to press forward the same way. Unfortunately, what that means is that instead he presses to the side very easily, and that's a bit of a problem. One of the other reasons why I think they did this is because, let's say this guy, he's got just big, beefy boots, so you're not noticing how static they actually are. On here, he's got lithe, nimble limbs, so for the feet to be just straightforward, actually, I think it ends up looking a little bit awkward. It looks a bit too stiff on the figure, especially because otherwise the figure does a great job of looking very natural. So I think that's one of the other reasons why they have the feet out to the side, and I think that actually ends up looking pretty good. It's just the ultimate failure is he still doesn't balance quite right because he bends forward like this. On this one right here, especially because this hinge is weaker than this hinge. So there's some interesting reasons for why they did legs like this, but ultimately I wish they had gone with something a bit more solid for the ankle joint here. Now, for articulation, this guy has quite a bit of articulation. His head will rotate 360. The arms will rotate around 360. Although, do be careful because this little button right here will catch sometimes. Legs can go forward and back, and you can actually kind of rotate the feet a little bit. So this is the SWAT Megazord. Just a SWAT Megazord, and it's a very neat Megazord, but that's not the only thing that this guy does. If you take these off, and there's a clip and tab, peg them together, put this off to the side, take off his arms, combine them together, like this. Make sure the landing gear is put away, and we'll put this off to the side for now. Then we need to take the rest of the body, put up the crest, fold the head around, pop this back, push this back, tab it up, and then rotate the legs down. And they have a similar locking mechanism with that little spring-loaded button as last time, and I'll basically make them look up and down like this. Then what you're going to do, and this is pretty cool, is there's a little slider mechanism right here, and a slider mechanism in there, and you will slide it together like this, and you get a gun. Boom, boom, boom. And I think this is actually a very neat little mode. It's strange, but it's a neat roleplay mode. Now, one thing to be careful about is to separate this. There's a little thing right here. You want to pull this back, and that's how you release it. It releases this little button right here. And actually, the last thing you want to do to put this together is you want to take the guns, and they will tab into the back of the pants, like this. And this allows you to have a stand like this, so that you don't just have to hold it or have it with, say, the paint on these guys scraping. So this is a very interesting Megazord. I like it quite a bit. It's not a replacement for this guy. Definitely get this guy first. But he is very cool, and I like him quite a bit. So I hope you've enjoyed this review. I review lots of stuff like this. Power Rangers, Transformers, Macross figures. If you enjoy any of that stuff, please subscribe. Be sure to check out our Facebook page down below in the video description. And thank you for watching.